field that I'm standing in now is about a mile from the village of Ardfinnan on the Clogheen Road. And this field is known as the Fair Field. The reason why we're here is this is where the faction fights of the 19th century used to take place. Faction fighting was different factions. It could be families, it could be parishes, it could be towns, and whole areas would meet and beat the living hell out of each other. And this is known as the Fair Field, and there used to be a horse fair here because the barracks in Cahir, which is about 5 miles away, always needed horses. They were horse soldiers and they were a cavalry regiment, and they used to go around the countries buying horses. The faction fighters used the likes of these gatherings to go to battle, because that's what it was, a battle, and they used weapons like this. These are faction fighting sticks. This one is hazel and this one is blackthorn. It's about 3 feet long, a big knob on the end of it, and leather on the bottom so as it can't be pulled out of your hand. You can imagine getting this across the skull. The last faction fight that was held here in the mid-1800s, 3 people died. A myriad of people had fractured skulls because it was the heads that everyone went for. The factions that fought in this particular field were from Ballybacon and Newcastle. Newcastle is in the mountains there just behind me. Ballybacon is down on the other side of Ardfinnan, and they used to meet here. And it could be anything, like in Kerry, the last big faction fight in Kerry, in Ballyeah Strand, there was 1,200 on one side, 600 on the other, and there was 16 killed in the one day. These were people that hurled grievances. They had different names. The local ones here were the Shanavests, the Black Hens, the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds. They had names like that, and they wore colours. Factions originated in Tipperary town and villages around. They originated there in the early 1800s. And I was told that in Palace Green, how a faction fight, how would it start? A man would walk down through the fair dragging his coat on the ground and shouting, "Does anyone want to take on a Ryan?" And the person that jumped on his coat, that signified the start of it, and they'd just go at it. This particular faction fight that happened here in this field in the mid-1800s got so bad that word got to the barracks in Cahir, and they sent the horse soldiers from Cahir to break it up. And when the troop of horse soldiers arrived here in this field, both factions turned on the horse soldiers and ran them off about a mile towards Ardfinnan, where the soldiers stopped then and fixed bayonets and dispersed the crowd. It seemed to me that the soldiers just wanted to draw them away from the fair. But there's loads of stories to it. This is Gormanstown, is the townsland here. There's a school just up the road, and there used to be a pub here, and there used to be a private house there that was close to this field that no longer exists, a thatched house with a half door. And the woman of the day of the fair told the man that wrote the story, she said, "It's 3 o'clock in the day and there's not a blow struck yet." She wanted the entertainment. The church then eventually intervened and stopped the faction fighting. They tried to put a stop to it. The parish priest in Ardfinnan came out and met them after the last faction fight, and told them that none of them would be allowed inside the door of the church if they persisted in fighting. But that didn't stop the Newcastle gang coming over and harassing the Ballybacon. Ballybacon never moved. They didn't move because they were more afraid of the priest than the Newcastle gang. The Newcastle gang, in disgust, left the field, went back by Ballybacon and went into the churchyard and started beating the tombstones with their sticks in temper. You can only imagine poachine and other strong drink played a big part in it as well. Also, there was a little bit of gambling. It was used as gambling. It was considered a game, even though you could get your fracture, you can get killed and get your skull fractured, your arm broke, anything, ribs or anything. It was very dangerous, but it was a macho thing, and you were taught more of a man because you took place in faction fights. And in this field, called the Fair Field, about a mile from Ardfinnan, where the faction fight towards the end of the 1800s, this is where the last one took part.